This build is so much fun to play. Not only is it easy to put together, but it is extremely effective at Chaos 20 and easy to run with your friends since you're going to be giving them a huge debuff. The dots are incredible. The bossing is great. The mobbing is great. Everything about this build is super great. And guess what? Liquid cooling is not a requirement. Buffmeister, Cursed Wit, all that stuff, you don't need it to do damage with this build. I showed off my build first yesterday. We put up the dark magic build. This is actually my co-op partner, my husband. It's his build, and we're going to take a look at it today. You guys can see from the gameplay footage that I've been playing in the background that this build just gets crazy criticals all over the place, crazy status effects all over the place. It's super fun to play. I have been playing it all day, and he finally convinced me to check it out and said that he had a really good Clawbringer Stabbomancer build. And the kicker with this build, you guys, is that it's even 22 skill points split straight down the middle. So I don't know what you call that. We are using the Wyvern for the dots that the Wyvern does with lightning and fire. And then we're also using the action skill of the Stabbomancer, the Ghost Blade. If you're playing this co-op and you want to run the Clawstalker hammer, you could also do that as well. The fire one, actually, Cleansing Flames, because there's an anoint where you can revive everybody and give them 40% heal. So if you want to play more of a healer type of build, you could go that way in co-op as well. All right, so let's take a look at the skills. I took off my legendary class items, so you're not going to see the bonuses. So you can see the flat ones where we want to put our skill points. This is a Stabbomancer Clawbringer build, even stats all the way down. We've got Dirty Fighting, which is giving us critical hit chance, and our Wyvern Companion. We're using the Ghost Blade as the action skill. This is going to apply whatever element your melee weapon is. So make sure that's an element that you're not already doing somewhere else. It's going to apply, in our case, corrosive and also dark magic because of our legendary class item, but we'll get into that later. Then going down the tree, looking at important skill points only, we've got potent poisons for our status effect damage and durations. Exploit their weakness. This is what is going to give you the biggest debuff on those enemies. We're getting 6% at a base 3 out of 3, and then we're going to pump it up with our class item to 12. That's going to give us a huge damage increase from all sources per status effect, and we're going to be doing a lot of status effects. And then going down here, we've got crit damage, and we've also got 1,000 cuts, which is going to give us stacks up to 25, and melee critical hits grant additional stacks. Ghost Blade is melee damage. Then over to our Clawbringer tree, we've got 5 out of 5 Oath of Fire. This is going to give our gun damage, fire damage, which is another dot for us. So not only are we getting dark damage all the time through our class item, we're also getting our corrosive from our Ghost Blade, and then we're going to be using a frost weapon or a lightning weapon. Then going down to Dragon Aura, another super important one, 5 out of 5 for that 20% elemental damage. And then over here to Rebuke, the 5 out of 5 is mostly for the damage reduction as it doesn't do a ton of damage. However, the lightning ability damage does count for Awe, which is a skill down at the bottom here, which we have 2 out of 3. So that's going to be giving us critical hit chance and damage, and this Rebuke damage is going to be proccing it. Our Wyvern is also going to be proccing it, which is why we go into Storm Breath here and we go into Firebolt here. Also, the regular fire damage of the Wyvern is going to be proccing Awe as well. Keep in mind that Oath of Fire does not work for Awe. So your additional fire damage that's coming out of your gun that you are applying to all your enemies at all times does not count for Awe. So you're relying on your Wyvern to do that proc for you. However, if you can find a fire spell, that's going to help you get that fire dot on a lot of the bigger targets. That's it for the skill tree. Let's take a look at the hero stats. We do have Village Idiot as our base, and then we have everything into crit chance and status damage. If you have any left over, you can put them also into skill cooldown since our skill's on a 37 second timer. However, we don't necessarily need it up at all times because our melee will do the trick as well. Then going over to myth rank, you're going to want to put a lot of damage into the elements, into status effect chance, all that good stuff, frost, fire, dark magic, lightning, everything. Next, we're going to take a look at the gear as we see some background gameplay here, and the 4 enchantments that you're going to want to look for, one for your gun, one for your melee, one for your shield, and one for your spell, are going to be: while action skill is active, increase fire damage by 50%. While action skill is active, increase dark magic damage by 50%. On action skill start, increase damage dealt by 20% for 20 seconds. And while action is active, increase elemental damage by 35 seconds. Now, you could also do a lot of these spell cast ones as well. So if you are just trying to find enchantments that work, if you have on spellcast, increase frost damage by 30% or something like that, that will also work just as well. It'll be a little bit less percentage, but it's not a big deal. The other enchantment for Clawbringer that is really good is when activating Cleansing Flames, revive downed allies and heal allies for 40% of their maximum health. This is a really great enchantment to pop on if you're in a 4-man squad and you're going to be able to revive everybody and provide lots of healing. Of course, it's going to take away one of your other enchants, so you're going to do a little bit less damage, but it's definitely an option. Onto the weapons. Frost weapons are going to work the best just because we're already applying all the other elements with our melee weapon and our additional fire and dark magic, and our wyverns doing the lightning and fire as well. So we're already kind of covering all of those different elements. So frost is the one that we're missing. Also, it gives a slowdown and a freeze to enemies too, so it's a nice just crowd control. Obviously, liquid cooling is kind of the #1 frost weapon right now, but I really love the Queen's Cry. It's a great crossbow that can take advantage of our high crit chance. Wizard's Pipe is also a great frost weapon if you want to check that out. But I wanted to also give a huge honorable mention, and actually just give a huge mention to the Catatumbo, which is a lightning crossbow. It has 2 in the mag and it does this crazy lightning strike down on the enemies, and it's really fun to use and it's really effective with this build because you're getting so many criticals that almost every shot is going to give you one of those lightning bolts. And the cool thing about it is that the lightning bolt will actually get the added fire damage and get the dark damage proc, because we're going to be doing 30% of our damage as dark damage. So as you can see, pretty much every shot is going to give you a lightning bolt, which is insane. And then last on my list is the White Rider and the Livewire. Both of these can chain to enemies and make it really easy to spread status effect and status damage to everybody. So these are great to kind of keep as a backup if you need them. For our melee weapon, we're using Twin Souled Assassin. You can use any melee weapon you want. You could use a pickaxe for the cooldown rate. You could use a frying pan for more damage resistance. Whatever you got and whatever you like. However, make sure that it has Echo on it. Echo is going to give your melee attacks 10% of all non-melee damage dealt by the Fate Maker over the last 10 seconds as bonus damage, and it puts it into that melee swing. So what you're going to do is kind of get your dots out, get them going, do a lot of damage with your spell or with your Ghost Blade, and then melee the enemy. If they are like chunkier, more elite enemies, you're going to be able to basically do half their health just with your melee. And so it's an easy way to clean up a lot of those bigger guys, especially when your Ghost Blade is on cooldown. For bossing, obviously Catatumbo and Liquid Cooling are going to be your go-tos. If it's a particularly hard boss with not many adds, you may want to change to one of those Cursed Wits and run that if you know your shield is going to get broken. You can also run a Buffmeister to buff your gun damage and get those boss melts nice and easy. However, if there's lots of adds in the boss room, or if it's a longer fight like Dragon Lord or something, you're probably going to want to keep the body rune on for the health return and for the fire damage, honestly, and you're going to want to keep your regular spell on. All right, let's move on to the gear. So for your rings, it's super simple and easy. We're actually running 2 blue rings. I went over this in my couple videos ago where we're stacking the Elder Wyvern's ring. You can get these rings from the side mission Burning Hunger in the Tangle Drift, so keep an eye out for that. After you complete the quest, you can also find them in vendors, so keep your eye out if they have chaotic ones and stuff. But you're going to want to stack 2 of these rings for that 20% fire damage, because otherwise we can't get additional fire damage on our ring. And it also has gun damage, so it's just a really great one to grab. Tangle Drift comes up pretty early in the story, so you can get these at a pretty low level as well. So if you're running through the story looking for a build, definitely pick up these rings. Onto the shield, we've got the body rune. This is going to give us 15% of our max health and deal 20% bonus fire damage for a short duration. No brainer. Also, if you're running with a co-op partner, you want them to run a body rune as well so that they get this perk, but also they can give you their perk. If they run the one that gives an ice spike to all your spells, then you're also doing frost damage, so you could run a different weapon, or it's just another element to get that damage over time for your build. Next up for our necklace, we've got the Thurge of Affection, which has whenever you cast a spell, reduce your action skill cooldown by 20%, and when your action skill is on cooldown, your spell damage is increased. So it's a really nice tit for tat type of thing. It's going to allow us to get our action skill back up and running really quickly. Now onto our spell. You guys probably recognize this from my dark magic video, but this is the Arcing Sunder. It basically goes out in front of you, and as long as it hits one enemy on the ground, it will send a fire chain to every other enemy within that radius, and it does elemental damage. So this is a really great way to inflict that status effect on everybody. It's got a double damage radius and has a 73% chance to get that status effect. Last up, onto our class item, we're using a Duelist Plate Mail. The Plate Mail is going to convert 30% of our damage to dark magic damage, allowing us to get yet another status effect. You guys can see where I'm going with this. So not only is this going to give you dark magic efficiency and give you a lot of healing and a lot of sustainability, it's also going to give you another tick of damage, and it's going to proc our debuff and all that good stuff. Plus, the great thing about this class item is that it comes with 3 amazing skills, so you really can't go wrong with your stat distribution up there at the top. However, if I had to recommend one, I would definitely recommend trying to get a 3 out of 3 into Exploit Their Weakness. That's going to give you all those damage increases for your entire team. And I forgot to mention, for your necklace, you also want to make sure you get Stabbomancer power. Maxing out Stabbomancer is going to give us the most crit chance that we can get. The great part about this build is that it's based so much in dot status damage over time that you really can use whatever gun you want. It is super duper easy to set up this build if you are lower level, if you're just starting out, if you're going up through the chaos ranks, if you're having trouble with the chaos chamber and going up the ranks and you have either a Clawbringer or a Stabbomancer, which I did not, which is why I'm on this character. You can easily put this together, and it may not be as optimized as this one is currently, but we could still even make further optimizations to this build. And as you go up in Chaos Chamber, just keep an eye out for these items and for different ways to boost your elemental damage and fire damage. You want to look for all damage dealt, elemental damage, status damage, action skill cooldown rate, fire damage. But that's going to be it for the build. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. There's going to be gameplay footage in the background so you guys can see how it plays and how you kind of want to run through the Chaos Chamber. It's so fun solo, and it's really fun in co-op because you're going to be debuffing the enemies a lot for your friends. So they're going to be doing a lot of damage as well. So I'm sure they'll be happy about that. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.